Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into Roddy Doyle's Booker Prize-winning novel, Paddy Clarke. Ha ha ha. We've pulled together insights from the book itself, naturally, but also critical reviews and a bit about the author's background. Basically, I want to give you a real shortcut to understanding this amazing work. Our mission, really, is to immerse you in the world of this 10-year-old boy, Paddy Clarke. It's vibrant, it's complex, and often pretty unsettling. We want to explore how a kid like him perceives, processes, and often totally misinterprets the adult world around him.
Yeah, it's fascinating how much praise this novel got and still gets. Critics often put it up there with huge books like, Catcher in the Rye or Huckleberry Finn. The Cleveland Plain Dealer, I remember, really nailed it. They praised Doyle's spare, economical prose with its looping sense of child time that really captures Paddy's fears, making them feel, well, stark and authentic. It's called an extraordinarily fine novel, and I think a big part of that is how it completely avoids being sentimental.
That point about avoiding sentimentality, that really strikes me. It feels so raw. How do you think Doyle actually does that? I mean, keeping a child's perspective so authentic without making it overly sweet or nostalgic.
Well, I think it goes back to that spare economical prose the critics mention. Doyle doesn't, spell out Paddy's feelings for you. He shows you. Through Paddy's own observations, his internal thoughts, completely unfiltered. It's like you're right there in Paddy's head, seeing the world in these fragmented moments, just as he does. No adult explanation layered on top.
Right, it's immediate. And Roddy Doyle himself, I mean, he's a major Irish writer from Dublin, huge bibliography. The Barrytown trilogy, The Commitments, people know the one, the screenplays, kids' books, nonfiction. And Paddy Clarke, winning the Booker back in '93. That's a massive deal. It says a lot about its impact. So let's dive into the details, the specifics that make Paddy's world just so memorable. Okay, so stepping into Paddy's world, the first thing that really jumps out is the sheer intensity of how these kids play. It's bursting with imagination, sure, but it's also definitely got this undercurrent of danger. And all these unspoken rules, like take that small thing, making their mark.
Ah, the cement writing. Yeah.
Exactly. Paddy talks about him and his mates writing their names in wet cement. But, and this is the key bit, only their Christian names. Why? Just in case the builders ever went from door to door. What does that little detail tell us?
It's perfect Doyle, isn't it? That one tiny detail, just the Christian names, it tells you so much. You get the thrill of doing something naughty, a little rebellion, but also this very childish, logical way of trying to cover their tracks. And underneath it all, they're aware of adult authority, even if they're messing with it. It's that looping sense of child time. Again, pure fun, 1 second. Then this, pragmatic risk assessment the next.
Totally. And that defiance, it often ramps up into games that are way more elaborate and honestly pretty dangerous. Think about their games with fire, playing Indians.
Right, the wigwams.
Yeah, building these little wigwams out of planks and sticks they found, then lighting cardboard, watching the fire eat the cardboard.
Yes,
and
sir.
then we ran for cover. Ooh, 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 and the sounds, ooh, 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 and hi-ya-ya-ya-ya-ya, while they danced around the flames.
It's more than just messing about, though. They're testing boundaries, aren't they? Pushing against their environment, bringing in risk, that sort of primal thing with fire. They're making their own little wild worlds with their own rules and, real dangers.
Oh, the risks are definitely real. Like the Grand National, this crazy game jumping over garden walls and hedges.
Sounds risky.
It was. And they had rules like pushing was allowed in the gardens, but not pulling or tripping. But it was so intense that Liam, one of the kids, actually broke his teeth playing Grand National.
Broke his teeth. Wow.
Yeah, not just a scraped knee. That's serious. It shows you the physical stakes in their world.
Absolutely. It really drives home that this isn't just pretend for Paddy and his friends. The consequences are real, sometimes painful. They're learning the hard way about pushing limits, and you see it even more clearly with how they built their huts.
Oh yeah, the huts from the building sites?
Using whatever materials they could scavenge, sometimes getting hay from Donnelly's barn for a basement, and then setting booby traps, burying open paint cans, bits of broken glass. And that chilling thought someone voices, what if one of us puts our foot in it?
And the answer, we won't. We know where it is, stupid.
That's just pure childhood confidence, isn't it? That mix of being adventurous and just naively sure of yourself.
It is. So what all these examples really show, I think, is how these games, which look innocent on the surface, are actually super complex.
Definitely. They've got their own rules, hierarchies, real consequences. The kids build their own worlds, sure, but those worlds kind of mirror the adult one with its power plays and dangers. It's how they learn about risk, about defiance, about being part of a group in their own unique way.
It really shines a light on that intense sort of self-contained logic of childhood. Play is serious work for them. It shapes how they see everything. It's not just fun. It's a pretty brutal education sometimes.
And that brutal education, you see it playing out just as much, maybe even more, in their relationships. So, moving from the physical dangers, let's look at how Paddy navigates friendships. And his brother, Francis, Sinbad.
Right, because those relationships, loyalty, rivalry, even outright cruelty, that's really where things get complicated. Paddy talks about these common bullying rituals, like Chinese torture.
Grabbing legs, twisting arms.
Making Sinbad scream, or giving someone a dead leg.
Right.
But then there's that really disturbing incident, pouring Persil washing powder into Edward Swanwick's mouth.
God, yeah. Making him gag and shudder.
And the pressure. He had to pretend he liked it, or he was gone, out of the gang. What does something like that tell you about the power dynamics there?
It's pretty stark, isn't it? Shows you childhood isn't always this innocent thing. These aren't just random acts of meanness. They're like tests, initiations. It's about enforcing this really brutal social code. Doyle just lays it bare, these kids creating their own little society, and sometimes it's quite tyrannical. Belonging often means you have to endure something painful.
And words have immense power in this world, too. Paddy talks about the thrill of saying fuck.
Yeah, that electric laugh, a soundless gasp.
And the fear associated with it. Like, Henno, to look up and see, fuck landing on top of you. It's forbidden, powerful, a way to defy things, but also carries this huge risk.
Absolutely. And these acts, these words, they're all part of how the gang structure works. Kevin's the leader, right? The high priest of the great god Sionis. Silence. He performs these rituals, gives boys new names like Mickey or G, punishes them with a poker.
That's intense.
It is. And Paddy's little thought, it was my story when they're playing Father Damien. It's subtle, but it hints he wants some control in this hierarchy.
And these loyalties, these groups, they shift all the time. It makes their social world feel so unstable.
Yeah, very precarious.
There's the boycott of a friend, just shut out, forced into the shed alone. Then Liam starts sitting with Charles Levy, who's from the corporation houses, the council estate. And Paddy feels, well, he says, Liam was finished now. Kevin and me wouldn't even talk to him anymore. I was delighted. I didn't know why. I liked Liam.
That last bit, I didn't know why I like Liam. That's Doyle just capturing that raw, confused feeling perfectly. It's the cruelty of the group versus his actual feelings for his friend, a conflict he can't even really understand himself. And sometimes it just explodes into physical violence. The fight with Kevin.
Right, that was brutal. Paddy punching him, kneeing him, until Kevin's just squealing now inside his mouth. And Paddy walking off limping with Kevin's blood on my trousers, feeling completely on my own.
It sums up how solitary and, brutal these childhood power struggles can be.
So if you kind of zoom out, these interactions are like a mini society, aren't they?
Exactly. The kids are working out social rules, playing with power, figuring out loyalty, betrayal, often through aggression, physical or verbal, that really echoes adult conflicts.
Really highlights that intense social learning curve in childhood.
Yeah, the sometimes really harsh ways kids establish who's in, who's out, what the rules are. And those experiences, they stick with you. It's a tough but fundamental education in being human.
Okay, so moving on from the playground dynamics, let's think about how Paddy sees the adult world. Everything seems filtered through his 10-year-old understanding, which leads to fear, confusion, but also some really fascinating misinterpretations, like watching his parents fight.
The talking, kind of shouting, as he puts it.
And that awful silence between them. He feels it so strongly, and he has this desperate whispered plea, stop, almost thinking he can actually control the situation.
Yeah, that sense of trying to manage it.
Sees his mother running out of the kitchen, his father's anger, and that heartbreaking detail of him keeping an all-night vigil, just trying to make sure they don't fight again.
Doyle captures that so powerfully, seeing it through Paddy's eyes. It's all fragments, observations. You see the child trying desperately to make sense of it all, trying to influence this unpredictable adult world, but feeling mostly powerless and carrying this huge weight that whispered stop, believing he could actually affect them. That's pure child logic facing something overwhelming.
And his understanding of the wider world is just as unique. He genuinely thinks the Americans were fighting guerrillas in Vietnam.
Guerrillas, right, not gorillas.
Exactly. He thinks executed just means killed, miss, dead. And harikari is the way Japs kill themselves, usually because they got beaten in the war. His reality is built from these scraps of information mixed with childhood imagination.
It's an amazing window into how kids build their picture of the world, isn't it? They pick up bits and pieces, and then their imagination, often pretty scary imagination, fills in the blanks. Doyle just renders that process so authentically.
Then there's that unsettling moment when Paddy figures out his father is drunk.
Yeah, watching him pick up a knife and fork, sort of talking himself through the actions.
And that description. His face was tight on one side and loose on the other. Paddy's just fascinated by this strange new behavior. It's bewildering for him.
And his view of death is so, well, childlike, pragmatic, but also shaped by religion. His baby sister Angela, who died, is in limbo. His Granda Clarke is in heaven because he made a good confession. But then you get the stark reality of the mouse drowned in the toilet.
Oh, yeah.
And his father just declaring, the life expectancy of a mouse is about 18 months, not in this house. The contrast is jarring.
And just universal childhood anxieties, too. That BCG checkup at school.
Oh, the terror.
Total terror. The fear of the needle or the stick. The embarrassment about his dirty underpants compared to Kevin's. And then that huge collective sigh of relief when it turns out to be no touch, no stick. It's so real.
Yeah, all these examples really show the hidden work of childhood, you could say. Kids dealing with incomplete information, becoming these sort of reluctant detectives of their own lives, often terrified detectives. It's not just watching, it's this constant high-stakes effort to interpret everything, and that shapes their whole emotional world, whether their interpretations are right or completely wrong.
It definitely makes you think about how those early impressions, those fragmented understandings of adult life, might still echo in our own memories. How they shape perceptions long after we've forgotten the actual events.
Absolutely. But
Right.
it's not all chaos and confusion in Paddy's world, is it? Amidst all that, there are these really poignant moments, too. Tenderness, learning, those small victories that mean so much to a kid.
You're right. His father, for all the difficulty, he's also a teacher, a companion sometimes. Remember his dad teaching him about fingerprints, pressing his thumb on the window to show him they're unique?
Mm-hmm. And sharing Hank Williams songs.
Yeah. And the sheer joy, that mad, brilliant, mad feeling, the first ride in their car. And there's that moment after his dad hits him for singing badly. It's complicated, but then he put his hand on my shoulder, the other one. I wanted to squirm it away, but after a while I didn't mind.
That line is pure Doyle, isn't it? I wanted to squirm it away, but after a while I didn't mind. Just a simple sentence, but it holds this whole complex swirl of feelings straight from Paddy's head. These unexpected moments of connection, they're like little anchors for him, even in tough relationships.
And his mother, she has this quiet strength, her presence. Like during that rainy picnic, sharing the flask of tea with his dad, her patience when his sister Catherine bites her finger, her explanations for things like why the drawing room is called the good room, just because it sounds nicer, unusual.
Those little acts of stability, of comfort.
They ground him, don't they? They provide a bit of order in a world that often feels chaotic.
Yeah, those everyday moments of care, they mean a lot to a child.
And the sibling bond with Sinbad. Despite all the fighting and rivalry, there's real strength there, too. Paddy helping Sinbad finish his dinner so he won't get in trouble with their dad.
Yeah, that protective feeling.
He feels fiercely protective, even right after he's been fighting Sinbad himself. And that moment when he tries to get Sinbad to eat a biscuit and he just blurts out, "I'm sorry for kicking you."
It shows that complicated mix, doesn't it? Love, anger, protection, all tangled up. Little moments of connection, mending things. A glimpse into their raw, emotional bond.
And Paddy has his own successes, too. Small things, but huge for him. Like the pride of getting the best desk in class.
Right. Or answering that question correctly. The Tropic of Cancer, sir, right in front of Hanno.
Those are the little wins that build confidence, give him a sense of having some control.
And just his own personal discoveries, too. Finding fascination in simple things, like twirling the radio dial, listening to the static and voices that hypnotic rhythm, or the intrigue of scabs, learning about corpuscles that stop you bleeding to death. It shows his mind working, figuring things out.
Yeah, what really comes through in this part is how these small kindnesses, shared joys, personal achievements, they act as anchors for Paddy. Even if he can't fully process them or talk about them, they're building his emotional foundations.
Finding comfort, finding growth, often in unexpected ways, especially within his family.
It really underlines how resonant those everyday moments are, how deeply formative.
Exactly. They seem mundane, but they're incredibly important for a child's development.
So what an incredible journey into Paddy Clarke's world this has been. Roddy Doyle really does masterfully use that spare economical prose, that looping sense of child time. He renders childhood with such intensity and assurance, and crucially, as the critics noted, without sentimentality.
Yeah, this deep dive really shows how vividly the novel captures the fluid reality of being a kid, where imagination, fear, loyalty, adult problems, they all just weave together, constantly shaping how a child sees the world. It's always shifting between being vulnerable and being resilient, between confusion and sudden understanding. Patty's experiences, the scary ones, the happy ones, they're lived with this intensity that, honestly, most adults have probably forgotten.
And the novel ends. Well, near the end. Paddy has this moment after another night of his parents fighting. He feels a kind of quiet, a sense of control. He decides he has to stay awake all night. He thinks, I was in charge. They didn't know. I could move now. The worst bit was over. I'd done it. But I had to stay awake all night. I had to keep an all-night vigil. So here's a final thought for you, listening. How much of childhood is just about passively watching things happen? And how much is it about a child's really intense, often totally secret effort to understand or maybe control or just survive the world around them? Even if nobody sees those efforts, nobody acknowledges them. Maybe think about your own vigils, those moments from your childhood when you felt maybe silently but powerfully somehow in charge.